Herb Cohen. I'm here to talk about trust today. Trust in a relationship where two people have unconditional love. Trust doesn't really manifest as a presence. It's implied. It's sort of under the radar. It exists without us having to acknowledge it as such. So we have an implied sense of trust that never really becomes defined as such because it doesn't need to. It's assumed, it's taken for granted, its presence is there, but we don't have to separate it or tease it out as something other than our experience within that experience of unconditional love. However, when there's distrust, that's when trust becomes all of a sudden a thing that we have to deal with. And if I say, I trust you, there's, in language, that's a verb, but it's not really an action word because there's nothing I can do to trust. I can't actually do anything to trust you. What you can do is not do something that's distrusting. So it's sort of like neglect, okay? The action of neglect is inaction. So, for example, if a parent is neglecting her child, is what she's doing isn't what she's doing, it's what she's not doing. If she's not providing for that child, if she's not being emotionally present for that child, not giving love to that child, those are all what she's not doing. So the action of neglect is what we're not doing. The same thing with distrust. Okay, so if I want to have a trusting relationship, but my partner cheats on me, and I discover this, that's an act of distrust. It's violating the boundaries of trust. There's no unconditional love there. Obviously, there's something screwed up with that. And so now that action of distrust has violated the trust that exists. And now trust is a thing. So, or is a thing that we have to deal with. And so someone may come to me and say, well, how can I trust this person? And I say, well, there's nothing you can do to trust this person. This person has to repair the distrust, you see, because the trust manifests from distrust. It's not that we can do anything to trust. The person who created the distrust now has to evidence that they're not going to do that again, and that why they did that and where that's coming from and what it meant to them, and maybe how much remorse they feel, perhaps. Maybe that will help heal that. But it's the undoing of a distrust that creates trust. It's not that there's an action that we can do to vamp up our own ability to trust, okay? Well, what can get in the way of trusting is if I have a history of being distrusted, I may have to do some work on that, on releasing that suspiciousness that I may automatically go to, which is going to make me distrustful. So, yes, if I have a history of having my trust violated, then I may have to do some therapy to remove the distrust to enhance my ability to trust. But I'm not really adding anything that's trust stuff to that mix. There is no such thing as trust stuff. Trust stuff is love. If I can go to unconditional love, then their trust doesn't become an issue anymore, and trust disappears in unconditional love because it's not necessary. So this is the catch-22 that we go into in dealing with trust. Trust exists because of the presence of distrust. If we remove distrust, we can trust. Not a simple task. Not easy at all. Hard work. Okay? So let's expand this idea to what's going on in our world. For example, we have Black Lives Matter stuff going on where our African American community is saying we don't trust the white police force. We can't walk in a white neighborhood and not get pulled over by a cop who's going to accuse us of the crime of having black skin. This has historically been happening, and thus there's a history of distrust that is now inherent in the black community. And they're saying, well, we don't want that. I don't want to feel that anymore. But the white community is saying, well, how can we fix that? What can we do with the police department then so that we can heal that distrust wound and create trust among all people in our community? Well, there's nothing that we can expect from the black community. We need to understand that they're the ones who have had their trust violated. So there's nothing that they can do to experience more trust. That's something we've got to get through our white skin. We need to realize that this onus is on us and on the changes and shifts that we need to do going forward so that we no longer are doing that violation of trust anymore. We need to stop the distrust, and then perhaps over time trust will have a shot at manifesting. And again, that trust is manifesting only because we have systemically distrusted. That's the crime that needs to be repaired. We need to release that distrust as a way of enhancing trust in our communities. So if we're going to fix this problem of systemic racism in every aspect of society, we have to stop the violations of distrust. And where that begins is becoming aware of where we have created that distrust. Maybe we are so systemic in it that we're not even conscious of what we're doing as a violation to someone. And that's the beginning of it. That having conversations with people about those, we're increasing our awareness. That's what we need to do. We need to start with awareness. And from there, rather than going to blame or shame, let's just start changing what we do so that we're no longer creating distrust. Then trust will no longer be an issue. I hope this is helpful. If it is, hit the like button so other people will be attracted to see this video. I feel that this is timely, and I'm trying to do videos that are timely of now. So thank you for watching, and I welcome your feedback and comments.